What a crew. Glad to have you along. Let's begin. So we'll start right in by deepening our Ujjayi breath. So that soundful breath. We're in the rib cage expands all directions, especially into the horizon, front, sides, and back. And so give yourself these moments to actually feel the directionality of expansion in your body. Where do you feel that expansion? How do you recognize that very simple shape shift? And we can leave our legs crossed just as they are. Set the fingertips behind you, next to your hips. And the fingertips so that as I push down, as my arms straighten, the ribs lift up. And we'll start, as we're inhaling, by getting a little bit of a stretch through the front of the chest. The chest wall, those rib muscles, and then we'll pause, hold the breath. And as we're holding the breath, splay the foot bones. Feel the tailbone sink downward while you're still pressing the chest skyward. So feeling this downward sink, feet active. Bring the hands forward, swift, thorough exhalation, everything out. Remain empty, and we're drawing the belly in. Okay. So as we're drawing the belly in, keep feet active. So that's an active movement of splaying, reaching, feeling the heel, the instep, the toe pads. Working a round of Uddiyana. And then release the belly when you need a breath. So yes, this is a breath hold exercise or pranayama. We'll be doing another. So we'll go fingertips to the ground. Pressing down, inhale to deliberately spread the chest wall. None of which has to be done quickly. Like this could be a very slow inhalation and so a very slow onset stretch. And then holding the breath, again, feel the feet grow active, the tailbone sinks down. As you're pressing the fingertips down, the shoulders move down. And we'll bring hands forward, swiftly, thoroughly exhale. Remain empty. Lower the chin closer to the sternum. And we're drawing the belly in and back and up. Okay. And as you're drawing in and back and up, just start to take note. What's getting a tug sensation, where you feel this internally? Does it feel like a tug, or does it just feel like ambient movement? When you release and relax the belly, come upright, and let's resume our deep, our ujjayi breath as we uncross our legs and set our legs out in straddle. We're just separating the legs. Again, this need not be a super deep stretch. Right hand goes to the inside of the right leg. Inhale, lift the left arm. Lift the trunk in the direction of that right foot. And then exhale, feel the fingertips lengthening away from the shoulder blade. So as you're reaching the fingertips away from the shoulder blade, feel how the shoulder blade moves along the rib cage. The shoulder blade moves along the rib cage. As you're feeling the beginnings of shoulder blade movement on that left side, deepen breath, getting specifically in and under that left side rib cage, all around that left lung. It's a bodily reach, so since we don't need our eyes to look in the direction of our fingertips, we just need to use our feeling sense. We can soften the vision. We can even relax the head down from that left arm. Okay. Now I'm slowly rotating. I'm eventually going to end up in a forward fold of some sort. But as I'm reaching through that left arm, I'm just letting my rib cage turn very smoothly and steadily. And I'm just moving my hands to either side of my right leg. So this is kind of a forward fold, but still has a great deal of left side bias. And then instead of your muscles trying to work the muscles free, let your breath reach the muscles and the tissues and the joints. So as your own body responds to breath, you may notice some freeings up. So we try to muscle around and kind of muscle the tightness and move and muscle and manipulate the tightness. To me, it feels like we're engaging with the frontal lobe, the thinking side of the brain, the strategizing side of the brain. And while that's not bad, inhale, we'll walk our way up as we prepare the other side. It's a wholly different way of listening and feeling and functioning than if we're taking in information as if it's entirely new, which, if we just woke up recently, it's entirely new. Here's side bend. Got the left hand beside the left leg. Inhale, raise the right arm. And exhaling, I'm lengthening and reaching my trunk in the direction of that left foot. So now feel the fingertips, the interior little domes of the fingertips growing away from the shoulder blade. And then feeling the shoulder blade starting to move across that rib cage. Good. Now, not content to simply or exclusively see the shoulder blade in our mind's eye, but now breathe, feeling the shoulder blade now responding to breath, feeling the ribs under that right shoulder blade responding to breath. And let that kind of natural, if you will, it's not a great word, but that kind of organic response to breath is the kind of movement that we can track today. Again, this is different than me trying to move my shoulder blade. So, here we are moving into a forward fold over the left leg. So reaching through the right hand fingertips and letting the trunk just start to spiral, starting to turn, chest facing ground. And we'll set the hands on either side of the left leg. Inhale, walk your hands back toward the pelvis, uprighting our trunk. Help your legs together with your hands, because they may feel a little bit stretched. When we lie on our back, we're going to be crossing our legs. So we're crossing right knee over left. Now this will be kind of a snug crossing of the legs, so ensure your comfort, whether it's your abdomen, whether it's your groin. And then if your knees permit, tuck the right foot behind the left calf. So right over left, and then foot behind calf if your body permits that. Let's bring the hands behind the head, the feet off the ground. So there's a little abdominal work just in keeping the feet off the ground, the knees over the hips. So we'll be moving through some abdominals, and I realize that some of us will be switching some of our moves, so I'll be talking through the abdominal portion. Inhale into your low belly and your low back. Float the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. And now exhaling, feel if you can articulate the tailbone. Does the tailbone move toward the sky? Can I press thigh into thigh, leg into leg, and generate an upward movement of the thigh bones, the tailbone. And let's draw the low belly down since we're empty of breath. Now inhale, allow tailbone to relax. Let's keep the head and the shoulder blades up momentarily. Exhale, curling tailbone. Use the thighs. Press thigh into thigh. And as if lifting the thigh bones up, feel if you can track the tailbone moving toward the sky. In other words, this is a very low belly move. Draw those low belly muscles downward. We'll do another. Inhaling into that low belly, relaxing some of those efforts of the legs. Keeping the head and the shoulder blades up. And now exhale, use leg on leg pressure, generating upward motion as if the thigh bones are lifting toward the sky. And feel if that actually helps lift the tailbone maybe a millimeter toward the sky. When you feel your low abdomen really turning on, draw low belly down. So find that exact place. Pull it in, pull it down. And then inhale, set the head down. And then exhaling, unwind the legs. We're going to switch sides. We'll cross left knee over right knee. Interlace hands behind head. Inhale, float head and shoulder blades up off the ground. And then exhale, use leg on leg pressure, thigh against thigh, and feel how that thigh pressure generates an upward motion of the thigh bones, and thus the tailbone. Draw low belly down. Inhale, relax the effort of the legs, but keep the head and the shoulder blades up. The tailbone lifts upward, and then draw the belly down with the lips absolutely relaxed. You know who you are. Let's do one more. Inhale, relax the pressures of the leg. And then exhale, increase leg on leg pressure. Generate upward motion. Thigh bones move toward the sky. The kneecaps lift toward the sky. Draw the low belly down. There you go. And then inhaling, set the head down. Unwinding the legs. Exhaling, we'll set the feet down. Okay. We're going to do one more frog lifting through. So from lying, it's still a lying move. We'll bring our feet off the ground, knees over hips, and then separate your legs apart widely. It's like you're opening up the covers of books. A book. So we're kind of keeping our feet suspended just a little bit lower than the altitude of our knees. Inhale, we'll float the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. And then exhaling, feel how the thighs can work or move outward. The tailbone shifts. And now, empty of breath, draw low belly down. Inhaling into that low belly. Exhaling, curling tailbone. The thigh bones outreaching. Draw the low belly down. So we're going to do 3 more. Inhaling into the pelvic floor, into the groin. And now exhale, feel how thigh bones working, reaching, stretching out to the left and to the right. How that starts to move or help you find at least the tailbone. And then draw the low belly down. Yet another way to feel the low belly near the tailbone, all around the pubic bone. Right, inhale into that pubic bone area. That's your low belly. Exhale, legs outreach. And as the legs outreach, let that start to clarify that area of your body in the hip sockets, the hip crease, around the tailbone. And now draw the low belly down further, clarifying, this is belly muscle. This is near my hip crease. The next one is on you. Go for it. So the reach, the work of the legs, the breath in the belly, the motions, the motions of the tailbone, the low belly movement, all of these taken together, helping us clarify and know this pelvic area. When you're done, you'll set the head down, use your hands, help your legs together. When we turn onto a side, let's press to our elbows and our knees. We'll be setting up dolphin. And I just had a peek. I have to share what an incredible blazing pink sky we have this morning. All right, elbows under shoulders, knees under hips, forearms out in parallel. Now splay the hand bones and contact hands to ground, fingertips to ground. Now as you're pressing ground with forearms, feel how the ribs kind of lift right between the shoulder blades. Inhaling, further expanding the ribs, the rib muscles on the back of the body. Exhale the knees smoothly off the ground. We're in dolphin. Now the arms are working. They are pressing. So there's really no slouching into the shoulder joints, if you will. There really is no joint slouch. So as you're pressing, can you feel almost like a little pocket of space, a little cloud-like buoyancy around the shoulder, in the shoulder joint? As you're inhaling, with your guidance, which is really just, I choose to place my attention somewhere in my body, can you feel your breath spreading in and through the back wall of your ribs? So now we're getting under both shoulder blades simultaneously. But what I would recommend is use whatever leg strength you can discover and feel like the legs are lifting the sit bones away from your brain. Go arms, go. There you go. There it is. Good. So if you're having a level 1 day, whatever that means, this is your pose. Okay. Take a break if you need by setting the knees down and rejoin when possible. If you're having a level 2 day, whatever that means, take your right foot and smoothly raise it, reaching the right leg away from your brain. we'll set the right foot down, trading sides, smoothly elevate left leg. And we'll set that left foot down, set the knees down, release. Inhale, slide the hands under your shoulders. We'll press directly back, exhaling into downward dog. Soften through the neck. So arms, you're still working. Straightening the arms. Softening through eyes, back of neck. All right, inhale, step left foot forward. We'll step into a warrior two stance. Warrior two. So our left heel aligns with the right instep, basically. And as we're exhaling, glide the shoulders away from the jaw. That outreach of the legs, we did this in our abdominal sequence. We kind of reached like we're growing our toe tips away from our pelvis. Feel how that outreach of legs actually helps to clarify or sensitize your ability to feel the tailbone. There's actually a little more room for your tailbone to find downward. These are the exact same movements we did on the ground. So engage the legs outwardly. Let it clarify your sense of tailbone. Feel tailbone shifting downward. And now feel breath reaching that exact area. I get it. That's a lot of groin. That's a lot of hip sensation. Okay. Interlace hands behind back. Inhaling from tailbone to heart. Exhaling, glide the shoulders down, reaching the knuckles toward the earth. And release the hands. Inhale them out to the sides. Triangle. So straighten the left leg. We'll walk in heel toe. The right, just of several inches. Exhaling, reach through that left arm, through that left side. When you can no longer lengthen and reach forward, then find that left hand a surface to be on, whether it's the shin or whether it's a block. And we'll raise the right arm toward the sky. Not only raising it, feel the fingertips growing away from the shoulder blade. Feel the shoulder blade moving, gliding along the rib cage. for those deep breaths, staying connected to that deep, that full Ujjayi breath. Okay. Inhale, bring the right hand down near to your hip, bend the left knee. We're moving the left hand for half moon. So move the left hand to the outside of the left foot. I'm still using a block. I like that altitude. And then standing on your left leg, raise the right foot, hip height. And I'm going to describe 2 ways that you can work this half moon. One of those ways helps you bias and feel more prominently the front side of the leg and the hip. And the other way helps you feel more prominently the back side of the hip. So if you reach, like you're growing the ball mounts of your right foot away from the hip socket, that'd be one way. And the other way is to reach out through the heel, to press the heel far away from the sit bone, and then flex the toes back toward your kneecap. Every single one of us, let's deepen breath into that right side of pelvis. So you're feeling, we did a lot of priming in that we breathed into the low belly, we breathed into the low back, and we continue that breathing into this right side of pelvis is breathing into the belly and into the back. Inhale, we set that right foot to the ground, about 3 feet behind our left foot. Pyramid. I'm going to use blocks. You don't have to. You could use your leg. But again, reaching the trunk as far forward, lengthening. So I'm really going for trunk length rather than closeness to ground. And the reason for that is, if I go for trunk length, I'm more apt to start to feel and find my core. I also give my organs a lot of space and uncompressed conditions so that they can be breathed and moved. So a lot of these yoga poses, right, we're just changing the conditions and the configurations that we're usually in. And hopefully, that's enough difference to kind of jog us into, oh, this is different, this is new, I found something. Right? So we're just adding coordinates to this map that's growing in fidelity and sensitivity. So when I breathe deeply, I'm getting a lot more coordinates of my low ribs moving, the sides of my ribs as they expand. Because the way that we feel and grow our body is the body calibrates to itself. The cells know somehow how far away they are from each other. All of that's part of their measurement, their knowing each other. Warrior 1, bend the left knee, inhale, step or wriggle your right foot back another 6 or 8 inches. So my back foot is turned in. So if there were a clock on the ground, my right foot is pointing maybe at 2 o'clock or so. Warrior 1 will draw the arms up. Now in our warrior one, I can feel this pelvis finding forward. So I'm just playing with that direction. It doesn't have to face forward. But between my right hip bone and my left knee, as I compress that space between my right hip bone and my left knee, that will often help us find the tailbone, the inner legs. All right, lounge lunge. Inhale, place the hands down. Place the right knee down. Now this works best if our legs are amply far from each other. So I walk my right leg back a few inches. Left arm, hug left thigh. And as I hug that thigh, my ribs turn to the left, biasing my right side ribs as I let them drape. Now, as you're letting the right side of your ribs drape, connect to your Ujjayi breath and feel how breath contacts the right side of your ribs. This is so different than if my brain tells my muscles to push, move, wriggle, tighten, squiggle, adjust my right side muscles. Right? That's a different kind of movement learning, and it's super valuable. But what I want to share is the listening side of the nervous system, which precedes the learning part of the nervous system. It's hard to learn, or it's hard to learn new things when we're not accurately listening and perceiving the information our body presents. Right? Inhale, unwind, set the hands down under your shoulders. Exhale, we'll step that left foot back, chaturanga. So we'll lower all the way down. Cobra, inhale, chest floats forward from the gut. Exhale, lower, downward dog. I reset those hands. Press back. Inhale, step the right foot forward, warrior two. I'm going to talk us through the whole other side. So the first part of that warrior two is the arms move out to the side. So I want you to feel the tips of your body, and I'll describe the fingertips growing away from the shoulder blade. The shoulder blade, you may feel starting to shift atop the rib cage. Okay. And now the legs. And feel the legs and the leg bones moving, growing, reaching from the pelvic halves. That's it. Space for the tip of the tailbone. Feel the tip of the tailbone find downward. And what's great is if I make the space, body will find ways to move. If I lead with the front of my brain, the thinker and the strategizing part of my brain, I have to come up with ways of doing and finding everything. And it's very limited. So these are great stances. Can you, now here we go with the interlacing. Interlace the hands behind back. Can you feel and maintain that spaciousness around the tailbone and the hip sockets as you inhale from tailbone into heart? Exhaling, the knuckles move gently toward the ground. The shoulders glide down away from the jaw. And we started with the legs because very often, if we add in a little bit of heart sensation, sometimes you feel almost like a squeezing or a protection move around the hips. So keep reaching through those legs, feeling that space near and around the tailbone. Inhale from tailbone to heart. Good. Releasing hands for triangle. Inhale, straighten right leg. Heel, toe, the left foot in, just a few inches. Arms out, reach. I'm moving from my fingertips growing away from my shoulder blade. My whole right side lengthening. When I can no longer feel length in my right side, I just put the arm down. But continue breathing into that groin so we don't, right? I heard that. Felt that. Do you notice how the mind of our pelvic, our groin area changed a little bit? So continue to breathe in and through that tailbone, that groin area. You can breathe into those pelvic halves. There you go. All right, here's our half moon. Bend the right knee. We'll lower the left hand. Switching position of the right hand. I'm bringing it to the outside of my foot and a little bit in front. As I stand on the right leg, I bring left foot, hip height. If you reach through the forefoot, you can bias the front of the hip. If you reach through the heel of your left foot, you can bias and encourage the butt muscles to chime in. So that may feel supportive to your sacrum or your back. So if you have some sacral issues, your back's kind of, what's the word, uncertain, use that heel reach. Let those muscles turn on, let the muscles support. Good. Now breathing into left side pelvis. So that's left low abdomen, left low back. There you go. That's it. That's it. There you go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yes, gradually, that left hip may start to move over the right hip. If you have any knee concerns, that move should be done even more delicately. So our footing really matters to our knee. All right, here's our pyramid. Inhale, bending the right knee, set the left foot down. About 3 feet behind. Lengthening through the trunk. Again, I'm going for length. And then exhaling, still feeling the lengthiness of trunk moving downward. So in a sense, my trunk, my shoulders, my gut, my ribs, they're calibrating to each other. Like, how do I get the feel of my chest is now further away from my abdomen? My lungs experience a little more distance from my colon. That's a very different way of feeling our fold than is my face near my foot. And I encourage you, play with all of these variations. Feel the differences for yourself. All right, bending the right knee. Inhaling. I'm going to squiggle that left foot back for warrior one. Drawing the arms up. And exhaling, you get another chance to feel how the body feels itself. Right? We're a relational organism. We can't not feel and know ourselves. So let that left hip, the right knee, feel how that left hip can find a place closer to that right knee. Lounge lunge. Inhale, we'll bring the hands down, the left knee down. The right arm hugs that outer right thigh. Now, I put this left hand down on the ground, the distance from my foot that I need to create space for my torso and my leg. It does change the stretch a little bit, so you can play around with that. But once I post my hand down, my ribs can drape. And then kind of going into that listening mode, if you will, as I breathe and my breath can feel this interior of the left ribs. My breathing, my breath can explore the left side of my waist and hip. So in a sense, I kind of have to just momentarily give up any desires I may have to keep twisting and pushing and wiggling to create enough space and opportunity for me to simply hear my body, right? feeling is hearing, feeling is listening, sensing, listening. Right. So we'll release, inhale, unwind, hands under shoulders. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog or cobra. Exhaling, downward dog. All right, inhale, step any foot forward, setting your feet widely. It has been a long time since we did splits. Here's our day. Phew. Glad we could bring some of these up from the annals. All right, so you can go hands on blocks, hands on floor. And if you're walking your feet quite deeply out, you can go forearms on ground. My recommendations, just based on what I might know, is if you're experiencing knee issues, what you may want to try instead is more of a modified horse stance. Okay? So it might feel better to some of your knees if you just modify a horse stance and maybe do like a twisting horse stance. I think if we're stretching through that inner knee and inner groin and putting that foot into some pretty interesting positions, you'll just want to do that very mildly or very carefully. Okay. All right. So in we go. I'm just going to give us some moments just to kind of walk it out. Let the hands fully support you. Now, when you reach an area of interest, comfortable interest, connect to your breath. And letting your breath help clarify, create some more coordinates for that area that's hips, tailbone, the pelvic floor. Now, there's two ways we can consider our exit. One is if you're very close to the ground, you can use your hands to ease yourself, your butt, down to the ground. The other is heel toe, walk your feet more closely together. Keep walking your feet together. And once your feet are under you, we'll lower to the ground for Shavasana. Shavasana, our last pose. So once you're seated, going to lying, allow your arms to rest with some room away from your torso. Let your legs rest with some space between them. Allow that deep, pervasive, choiceful Ujjayi breath to relax so that now breathing is happening. And oh, by the way, there's a body in that breathing field, right? And so here, as we reduce, almost eliminating much of these gross, these large bodily movements, now our body once again has yet another chance to calibrate, to feel itself in relationship to itself. Our chemistry changes, our cell functioning changes when these inner relationships change. So you might just feel and notice, where in my body is there, where's there more layers, depth, fidelity? Where do I feel there's more coordinates, if you will, right? Where is there more sensitivity, movement? It's not uncommon that areas of our body tend to become isolated or walled off or even forgotten. And so this is a really cool and important facet of the practice, is that we're helping our body remember our body. Because we may not know if we have forgotten aspects of ourselves. Just as we're all helping each other help ourselves, right? When you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side, use both hands on that side, press to seated. It's lovely we get to do this. Namaste.